Hey, are you having problems subtracting fractions? Well, have no fear, Miss P is here. Hey, welcome back to another episode. It's so good to see all of you. Thank you for joining me. So today we are going to look at subtracting fractions, and we're going to take it slow, and we're going to look at subtracting fractions and understand the rule of subtracting fractions. And we're going to move up with having denominators looking the same to unlike denominators to even being able to subtract when we have mixed fractions. Now, before we get into our video, do me a favor, go ahead and press that subscribe button right now and click all of those notifications because I don't want you to miss a single video that can help you understand math just a little bit better than you did before. With that being said, sit tight because Miss P is right here to help you out. Let's talk about subtracting fractions. The rule is whenever you are subtracting fractions, your denominator has to be the same. With this particular problem, because I have the denominators that are already the same for me, this problem is already pretty easy for us because the only thing that we have to do is subtract the numerators. 7 minus 2, 5. And the denominator is going to stay the same. So let's look at the problem 2/4 minus 1/3. Again, the rule is whenever we're subtracting, your denominators have to be the same. Clearly, when I look at this problem, I have a 4 and a 3. So what we need to do is determine the common denominator, and we do that by listing the multiples. Some of you may have heard of this called skip counting, but we use the word multiples, and that is us counting by fours. So if I count by fours, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and I can continue, but I'm running out of room on my board. But let's start with our threes, doing our multiples for 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so forth. Once you've listed your multiples, what you want to do is identify the least common multiple. So the smallest number that is the same in both your multiples of 4s and 3s. So when I look at this, I see there is a 12 up here and there's a 12 down here with my multiples of 3. So that's going to let me know that I need to rewrite my problem, and I'm going to rewrite the problem with my denominator being 12. Now that I have written the denominator as 12, I need to go ahead and set up the new problem. I'm going to start with the first fraction, and my question is, how did I get from this 4 and go to 12? I know that 4 times 3 equals 12. The rule is whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I need to do the same thing to the top of the fraction. 2 times 3 equals 6. That's the new fraction for our first one. Let's do the same thing for the second fraction, 1/3. How did I get from 3 to 12? I know that 3 times 4 equals 12. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do the same thing to the top. 1 times 4 equals 4. Now we have a new problem that is ready for us to solve. I have a denominator of 12, so the first thing that I can go ahead and write is the denominator 12 because it has to stay the same. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2/12 is not the final answer. You want to always simplify your fractions and make sure it's in the simplest form. Hey, hold on 1 second. We need to pause for the cause, all right? You have permission to stop what you're doing right now, and I need you to press that subscribe button, okay? I need you to share this video, okay? I need you to give me a thumbs up. Help your teacher out, okay? Now back to your regular scheduled program. How am I going to solve this? I have a whole number and a fraction. When I have a whole number and I'm subtracting a fraction from it, what we need to do is make that whole number a fraction. And the way that we can represent a whole number as a fraction by putting a 1 as your denominator. And now we have 5 over 1 minus 2 and 1/3. Because we have a mixed fraction, we need to change this mixed fraction to an improper fraction. I do that by starting with your denominator. You always start with the denominator. I call it going around the world, and I'm going to go 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So when I write my new fraction for the mixed number, my numerator is 7, while the denominator stays the same. And I have 5 over 1. Mind you, we are still subtracting. And what did we discuss earlier? Whenever we're subtracting, we've got to make sure that these denominators are the same. Well, because this is 1, that's kind of an easy thing for me to see, because I know that I can simply make that 1 a 3 by doing 1 times 3. And whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So my new fraction, when I do 5 times 3 is 15 over 3 minus 7 over 3. I know the denominator has to stay the same. And when I do 15 minus 7, I know that will give me 8. Now, the thing with this is, of course, because I have a whole number in the top fraction, which makes that a mixed fraction, and I don't have a whole number here. What I want to do is look at the denominators next, and I can see that the denominators in this fraction are different. I also know my facts, so I know that 10 times 2 will give me 20. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. So I can leave this first fraction as it is and change this top fraction so that it has a 20 as a denominator as well. So when I rewrite that fraction, it is 8 and 18 over 20 minus 16 over 20. We're going to do this the same way, where we subtract 18 minus 16. That's going to leave you a 2 as a numerator. Your 20 is your denominator because it stays the same. And this 8, because we don't have a whole number here, there is nothing there. So 8 minus 0 is going to still leave you with 8. Make sure that you check that your fraction portion is always in simplest form. How would you subtract a fraction that in the first fraction, your number is smaller than your number in the second fraction? I cannot do 1 minus 3 because 1 is smaller. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to regroup. I'm sure you're like, how do you regroup with fractions? It's really kind of the same that we've done with any kind of standard regrouping when we are regrouping with whole numbers. I'm going to take one whole away from that 5 and make it a 4. What I need you to think about is know that your denominator is 4. So your denominator, you want it to stay the same. And your question is, how can I make a fraction that represents 1? Because this fraction is 4, I know I can make another fraction with the denominator of 4, and that numerator is going to equal 4 because it's one whole. So 4 over 4 is equivalent to 1. We know that any number that is the same as your numerator and denominator will always equal 1. With that, now we're going to add 1 whole to your 1/4. When I do that, that leaves me with 4, and 4 plus 1 is 5 fourths, minus 2 and 3/4. Now we are ready to do our math. We already know your denominator is going to stay the same. My numerator is 5 minus 3 equals 2. And then I go to the whole numbers. I have 4 minus 2 equals 2. Please make sure that you always simplify. That is another video. Now that we have slowly gone over the steps to subtracting fractions, I have 4 fractions here that I would love for you to get a piece of paper out, or even if you have a dry erase board, and try and work these problems out. When you have finished working these problems out, leave your answers in the comment section. Let me see what you got. Until next time. All right, that wraps up our video for today. Please make sure that you take a moment, do those 4 practice problems. I would love to see your answers. Leave your answers in the comment section so that I can respond and see what you got going on. In the meantime, make sure that you share this video, subscribe, and like. And remember, learning is always as easy as 1, 2, 3 when you're hanging out with your favorite teacher, Ms. P. See you later.